Because just one go-around with a bad football game apparently wasn't enough. This is Sega Masters. It's football on the Master System. Again! Yep, just a few episodes after we covered Sega's original pigskin title, Great Football, we have Sports Pad Football, a North American exclusive released just 2 months after the aforementioned title hit the store shelves in the States. And if you hadn't guessed by the title, this second football cart even sees the brief return of a certain trackball controller. That would be the Sega Sports Pad, which, if you remember, was Sega's less than successful attempt at a trackball controller they hoped would be a nice alternative to the regular gamepad. While the Sports Pad works decently with a good portion of the Master System library, carts that were made specifically for this controller were another story. In fact, only one other Sports Pad specific game has been released thus far in the system's Western lifespan, that being Great Ice Hockey, which came out back at the beginning of 1987. And as you remember from back in episode 19, the trackball ruined what could have been a decent hockey title with its unresponsiveness, especially since you couldn't stop the CPU teams from scoring at will on your goalie. Not only is Sports Pad Football obviously the second game to use the trackball, it also revisits football on the Master System. Now, we covered Sega's first pigskin cartridge just 5 episodes ago, and it seemed on the surface like a serviceable football title, which was quickly undone by a wonky passing game and horrible solo mode that offered only 1/4 of action. Plus, you never got to play any defense. You're on offense the whole time trying to overcome a deficit against the CPU. Those of you hoping the second football cart succeeds where Great Football failed, prepare for disappointment because Sports Pad Football is more of the same. In fact, it's literally the same game as Great Football, right down to its identical intro. You're offered the same choice of 12 oddly named teams separated into 2 conferences as the previous cart, again with no real difference between them other than colors. Once the teams are chosen, you find the gameplay is lifted straight from Great Football as well, including the same oversized field. Basically, Sega decided to just recycle what was already a disappointing cartridge instead of crafting an original title for the Sports Pad. They didn't even take this opportunity to possibly correct their previous mistakes. From the unintuitive play calling to the so-so audio and visuals, everything is pretty much copied straight from Great Football with virtually no changes made. Sega didn't even take this chance to expand the lacking solo mode, as it's unchanged from Great Football. You're still zapped straight to the 4th quarter, having to overcome a deficit, again while playing on offense the entire time with no chance at being on defense. The only difference between this card and Great Football is now you're obviously trying to accomplish your mission with the Sega Sports Pad instead of the regular controller. If Sega really wanted us to play their football game with the trackball, why didn't they just add an option for it when they programmed Great Football in the first place? Then again, it's not like the Sports Pad makes Great Football any better. In fact, the only thing Sega succeeded in is making their blah football title even worse. Just like Great Ice Hockey, you have to really roll the trackball to get your ball carrier to move even the slightest steps in any direction, so running plays will pretty much get you nowhere. You'll be lucky to even reach the line of scrimmage before you're tackled by the other team's defenders. Forget about connecting on any passing attempts as well. It was hard enough picking a direction for your quarterback to aim his throws with the regular controller. You can imagine what it's like trying to use the trackball to hook up with your receivers. And if for whatever reason you try to play this game with the normal gamepad, like I'm forced to do with my emulator, you're basically stuck going northwest or southeast with no way to change direction. Then again, why would you even try this cart with a regular controller at all, when you can just pop in Great Football instead since there's nothing here you won't find in the other cart? So Sports Pad Football is pretty much a poorer version of an already bad football title, and I cannot think of a reason for this cartridge's very existence. Then again, the fact that Sega waited 9 months to release a second game for the Sports Pad, and a recycled one at that, may have showed how committed they really were to the whole trackball idea. As it turns out, Sports Pad Football was the second and last cartridge specifically made for the Sports Pad, as one more game would use it as an option, but for all intents and purposes, this game pretty much marked the end of Sega's trackball experiment.